Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria of Through the Peacock's Eyes. Welcome to my channel. So in this video, I'm going to talk about when Saturn and Jupiter are in the same sign. I'm going to give some times as I go through this, and I will give it both from the Vedic astrology or sidereal perspective and the Western astrology or tropical perspective or system, I should say. What signs they'll be in and the timing of the transit. But basically for the next 2 years, 2020 and 2021, kind of beginning now, right? Late 2019. But for the next 2 years, Jupiter and Saturn are going to be together in the same sign much of that time. When they're not, it's because one planet's moved or sometimes when one has retrograde and they come back together and so on. And I'll go through that here. But what's really important is to talk about the energies of these two planets because they are very opposite energies, but they can work together. Okay, so let's talk about Jupiter. He's called Guru in Vedic astrology. Jupiter is called a benefic, and so he's considered a good planet. He's considered lucky. He brings good luck. He's often called the Santa Claus planet. He brings gifts. He bestows things in our lives depending on where he's transiting. Not always, but this energy often does play out. He brings growth, expansion. In that sense, it brings in new things, right? And I want to point out, and I often point this out when I'm talking astrology, is that in astrology, as in this physical realm of duality, everything has both positive and negative aspects. So though Jupiter is considered a benefic and his energy often does play out beneficially for us in our lives, his negative aspects are excess, overexpansion, basically too much of a good thing. So how this will affect you more personally really depends on how Jupiter is in your natal chart. Is he significant for you? What house this is transiting for you, and so on. Now, Saturn is called a malefic. So he's considered bad, but I think it's mostly bad to the ego mind. Saturn brings obstacles, challenges. He slows things down. He's restrictive energy. And so, as humans, we don't like that. We don't want to be blocked. We don't want to be stopped. We don't want to have to slow down. I call it the P word, patience. We all struggle with patience. Sometimes we're better at it and sometimes we're not. But Saturn has positive qualities as well. He brings longevity. He brings stability. He brings structure. And his energy plays out long term. So if you work with the Saturn energy, as in when you hit those obstacles, you say, okay, I need to stop. And I often phrase it this way: it's either not the right thing or that's not the right time, because in Greek mythology, Saturn is Kronos, which is father time. If we work with that and don't, as I say, butt our heads against those obstacles, they actually it's like they play on our side. They work for us. And whatever we're working towards or whatever different path that obstacle takes us on, it's something that will bring more structure to our lives and last the long term. So it's really about working with the energies at play, accepting what is going on. And what just popped into my mind is, like Jupiter energy, considered good. Some people don't like things to grow and expand too quickly. They want the Saturn energy to slow down. So whatever houses these signs are in your charts, Vedic or Western, for the next couple of years, because these are outer planet energies. The personal planets are Mercury, Venus, Mars, Moon, and Sun. And Jupiter and Saturn considered not the outer planets, but less personal. I'll say it that way. They affect us all on some very subtle level. And astrological influences are often very subtle, so subtle we don't notice them until maybe we reflect back upon them. And I did make a video about that. It might have been in my what, how, and why to listen to your astrology. I'll have to do some research on that, but I'll link some video towards the end of this one so you can check it out, or just go to my channel page and click on the astrology playlist. Okay, so yes, the next couple of years we need to find a balance. So you could see Jupiter as sort of yin energy, the white, the light, what we all consider, good, the benefic energy, the stuff most of us want. Because he brings, he can bring in great material success. And Saturn is sort of the yang energy, the dark, the slow, the passive. But if we bring them together, and this is my little way of making a yin yang symbol, if we bring them together, they can work in balance where there's some growth and expansion. And then we get time, Saturnian time to get used to that and understand it and process it and make it a solid foundation for more growth and expansion. And then meditate on it, contemplate it, work with it. Again, more solid foundation. So there's more growth and expansion. And I think a lot of us will either feel or notice as these next 2 years go on, as we look back, that like, oh yeah, that my career grew in this way, and then it settled, and that laid a foundation for my career to take off in another direction, or this could play out in relationships for you or in your home life. Again, that depends on where these signs are in your natal chart. Okay, so that's the energy of them together. So let's look at some dates here. So first, from Vedic astrology, I have them all written down. So Jupiter just moved into Sagittarius on November 10th, 2019. He's there until, I wrote April 7th, 2020, but he does have a retrograde. So Jupiter's in a sign for about 12, 13 months. So Jupiter's in Sagittarius in Vedic astrology for about the next year, so most of 2020. Saturn has been in Sagittarius since November 2017, and he will be there until February 1st, 2020. So right now, both of them are in Sagittarius. And then, where's my Saturn here? So in February, Saturn then moves into Capricorn in Vedic astrology. Jupiter and Saturn will both be in Capricorn April 2020 through June 23rd, 2020. And then Jupiter moves back into Sagittarius. So Jupiter has this really fast movement, and then he retrogrades back. Even though he's in a sign, typically for 12, 13 months, retrogrades give these periods of when it's not in that sign and so on. Okay, I'm just giving you the dates here. So again, Jupiter and Saturn, both in Capricorn, April 2020, so April 7th, 2020 to June 23rd, 2020. Then Jupiter and Saturn in Vedic astrology will both be in Capricorn November 26th, 2020 through April 11th, 2021. And then Jupiter moves into Aquarius. Then there is another retrograde, and Jupiter and Saturn are again both in Capricorn September 7th, 2021 through November 29th, 2021. Okay, so that's the Vedic transits. Just a little brief one right now, where both are in Sagittarius, and then most of it is in Capricorn in the year and a half or so ahead. Okay, now the Western astrology or tropical zodiac transits. Jupiter moves into Capricorn on December 3rd, 2019, so in a few weeks. And he's there, his full transit, he's there until December 20th, 2020, so most of 2020. And I want to point out, Pluto is also in Capricorn, and the South Node, and this applies for both systems, is also intertwined in this a bit, a teeny bit, but then that gets all confusing. The nodes move retrograde. So just a little bit at the beginning, the South Node is included in this, but this is the Jupiter and Saturn connected video. But I just want to point out Pluto is in Capricorn too, adding more depth, more, because Pluto is a god of the underworld, more going deep, more getting grounded, And Capricorn energy is earth, so that just adds to it all. It adds an intensity to it all. Okay, so Saturn moves into Capricorn December 20, or has been in Capricorn December 20th, 2017, and he's there until March 23rd, 2020. So the first overlap begins in December, in a few weeks, until March 23rd, 2020. So again, this is Jupiter and Saturn in Western astrology. Then, on July 20th, 2020, Jupiter and Saturn are both in Capricorn again. And then December 20th, 2020, Jupiter and Saturn are in Aquarius. I think that July transit, I didn't give it end date, so I think it was just a brief moment there. Both of them are in Aquarius, December 20th, 2020, until Jupiter moves into Pisces, May 14th, 2021. But then there is a retrograde. So Jupiter and Saturn again are in Aquarius, July 29th, 2021 to December 30th, 2021. And then Jupiter moves into Pisces and stays there. So in Western astrology, it's through the Capricorn and the Aquarius transits. If that is confusing, just ignore those dates and just know that in the next 2 years, from December 2019 through 2020 and most of 2021, that they're both together in Western, in Capricorn and Aquarius, and in Vedic in a little Sagittarius, but mostly through Capricorn. Okay. And you want to work with the energies. So if you're going through, let's say in the next year, 2020, let's say this is transiting your house of career, and you're just hitting obstacle after obstacle, that Saturnine energy, because Saturn rules Capricorn, I should point out here. So Saturn, in the Capricorn transit, Saturn has the upper hand. And before Uranus was discovered, or in older systems like Vedic astrology, Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius. So Saturn has the upper hand here, except for the little bit of overlap in Sagittarius. So really emphasize working with the Saturnine energy to lay a foundation, a solid foundation, a good foundation. Like when contractors are building a foundation for the house, you don't want to rush the process. You don't want to skip steps. You don't want to ignore things that come up, because if you do, the house that you build, and you can see the house is the expansion of Jupiter, all that you want to build up out into the world will crumble and fall. So really focus working on the energy of Saturn as it comes up for you. Be patient. We all work with that. I work with that constantly. Let foundations be laid well. Don't skip steps. Look towards the long term. And that's how you use the Saturn energy to lay, hopefully, an amazing, solid, big foundation for all that the Jupiter energy wants to bring in, and build upon that. So you can kind of see this, what I'm kind of seeing in my mind's eye is the rebuilding of the tower. Because I often point out when the tower card comes up, yes, it's about things coming down because they're not on solid foundation. And then you got to clear out the rubble. And that's come up not a lot, but here and there in the weekly readings. I think in some of the moon readings too, towards late 2019. And you clear that rubble, and it's like, lay a better foundation in whatever area or areas of life this is transiting for you, so that you can build an amazing tower or castle or home or, career, life, whatever it is for yourself. And it will last the long term. Okay. I think that covers my little discussion here. I hope you guys found this helpful. A lot of people, I've only seen a little bit out there, kind of dread this kind of combination energy because Saturn and Jupiter are so opposite energies. But remember, we need both sides of the coin. We need to work with both sides of the coin. We need to work with both sides of this realm of duality. And if we can get them to work together, it won't be perfect most of the time for probably all of us. But if we put that work in and we're patient, it will bring great things for the long term. Saturn wants that long term foundation. And Jupiter needs that for his abundance to keep growing. Because where Jupiter transits, it's not like his like good luck energy disappears once he moves off into another sign. If you plant those seeds where he is, and if these seeds have a wonderful foundation of a very fertile earth to grow in, they will keep growing. All right, everyone. For those of you have asked, because last year I did sort of like a Jupiter in transit plus tarot year ahead reading, I'm going to do, because I'm kind of talking about this already, I'm going to just do tarot year ahead readings for all the signs. So hopefully I'll have those recorded soon, definitely by the new year, hopefully sooner though. So those are coming up, and I just want to thank you everyone for being here. Thank you if you're new to my channel. Thank you for liking, share this with someone whom you think it might help. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you back here soon.